What's going on? Mitchell Renz here for Chat Sports NFL Daily, and today's show is brought to you by our good friends and sponsor, BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. I have 7 NFL rumors ready to crack open for you, and actually, the first one I got coming up, it's actually already news because the Green Bay Packers, they have hired Matt LaFleur to be their next head coach. News came yesterday evening that the Packers were going with Titans OC Matt LaFleur. The Packers interviewed him on Sunday. LaFleur will be the 15th head coach for the franchise after concluding his first year as offensive coordinator for the Titans. LaFleur is the first head coach with no previous ties to the organization to be hired since Mike Holmgren in 1992. Now, LaFleur came highly recommended from Titans general manager John Robinson, who is believed to be close to Packers GM Brian Gutekunst. Considered an offensive innovator, which I think is what all NFL teams are looking for right now. And I think when you're just looking at the Packers and why they went this route, it's because of what Matt LaFleur's been able to do, perhaps maybe in his past. And even though Tennessee missed the playoffs with a 9-7 record, and their year did end with the 25th ranked offense, I still think that you could see that Matt LaFleur has a lot to offer for an NFL team. And I mean, let's be real. If you're an offensive innovator and you get to work with probably the best quarterback in the NFL when healthy, and Aaron Rodgers, I think that's a pretty good selling point. So we've seen what Matt LaFleur's been able to do with Marcus Mariota, and sure, Marcus wasn't able to really blossom into what a lot of people were hoping for, but at the end of the day, I mean, Matt LaFleur, I think, could be a good coach, and if he can show what he is capable of with Aaron Rodgers, would be an interesting hire. But I want to know from you what you think this overall hire grade was. I'm taking you back to school, right? So grade the Matt LaFleur hire. Is it an A? Is it a B? Is it a C, a D, or an F? I want to know from you. And if you want to know what I think, DM me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. My next rumor here is around Bruce Arians. And is Bruce going to be the next head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Well, it's kind of looking like that. So everyone is anxiously awaiting the news that Bruce Arians is going to be the next Buccaneers head coach. And it finally looks like that this might be happening sooner than later. According to Ian Rappaport, Tampa Bay and Arians are about to start talking about a contract. And Rappaport says we may know something very soon. I think it's also interesting to note that Todd Bowles is reportedly going to join Bruce Arians in Tampa Bay. I think it's kind of crazy to think that Bruce Arians, a few years ago said he's going to retire, he's not going to be an NFL coach. And I like the idea of Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles teaming up because I still think Todd Bowles is a pretty good coach. I think he kind of got the short end of the stick with the Jets. I mean, let's think about it. In 2017, the Jets were supposed to have 0 wins. There were multiple sports media companies that said that the Jets would have 0 wins, and they won 5. That's still pretty good, right? So the fact that Bruce Arians, Todd Bowles could be teaming up, it's going to be pretty interesting. So if Bruce Arians, Todd Bowles, we're talking about a new coaching staff because got rid of Dirk Koetter because Dirk Koetter was bad there. How many games do you think the Buccaneers are going to win in 2019? And they're in a tough division. Like, I think the Panthers are an up-and-coming team if they could stay healthy. The Falcons, if they don't have so many injuries, could be a better team. And then the Saints, in my opinion, are going to win the Super Bowl there at 13-3. So how many games do the Buccaneers win in 2019? I want you to comment below if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube, comment below. How many games will the Buccaneers win in 2019? The next one is around one of those AFC South teams, or NFC South teams. Dirk Koetter, he was offered a head coaching job or offensive coordinator job for the Atlanta Falcons. And according to lead beater of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Falcons have offered the offensive coordinator position to Koetter. So the Falcons recently parted ways with Steve Sarkisian, thank goodness, because the Falcons finished 6th in yards this past season, 10th in points. But ultimately, if you can watch Steve Sarkisian coach, you're going to know that he's not a very good offensive mind. I mean, if you're not going to give Julio Jones the ball in the red zone, I think that's red flag number 1. Koetter held the same position with the team from 2012 to 2014 before becoming the Buccaneers head coach. He did go 19-29 in 3 seasons as the Bucs head coach, and he served as the offensive coordinator before being named head coach. It seems to have more success as an offensive coordinator, which I kind of understand. Now, I think the Falcons, this is an interesting pick because Koetter did have a lot of success with the Atlanta Falcons. But the Falcons also were really good when he left because, heck, that was 2016 with Steve Shanahan, and they had an absolute incredible season, especially putting up, that was the year that Matt Ryan was basically the MVP. But I'm looking at Dirk Koetter, and I want to look at what he did the last time he was offensive coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons. Total yards per game was 8th. Sure, that's great. Pass yards per game, 5th. Rush yards per game, 24th. But points per game, 12th. I think at the end of the day, if you have Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and a solid running back core of Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman, well, Tevin Coleman's about to be a free agent, But with Devonta Freeman, if they can stay healthy, I think this is still one of the better offenses in the NFL, led by one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, BetDSI. And if you guys love betting on NFL games, college football, literally anything, there's only one place to do it. You're going to go to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. You put down $50, you're going to get $60 for free. Put down $100, get $120 for free. Put down $500, get $600 for free. I'm going to give a shout out to BetDSI for hooking up Chat Sports with the best promo code on the internet. Next rumor coming up here is around Freddie Kitchens and the Browns. Could they get a new kitchen? No, I know, bad joke. But Browns could promote Kitchens to head coach. The Browns wrapped their interviews with Kitchens as the last interview on Monday, and he was named the Browns interim offensive coordinator after the firing of Hugh Jackson, thank God, and Todd Haley. So he was considered one of the biggest reasons for the late season turnaround, and Rappaport came out and said that Kitchens actually has a realistic shot to get this job, and I think he should. I mean, when you're looking at when Hugh Jackson left, 3-36-1. Now, I also think Greg Robinson deserves a lot of credit as well because I think he did a very good job. But Kitchens worked really close with Baker Mayfield, and Baker really came on strong down the end of the season. I mean, there's a reason why the Browns went 5-3. Like, the Browns won more games in the last 8 games than they did the previous 2 seasons. Like, that's pretty crazy. So I think when you're looking at the coaching staff, point the finger at them a little bit because I think they deserve a lot of credit. But the Browns have been busy. The Browns are looking for that new head coach. So here are the Browns head coaching interviews that they've had this offseason. Kevin Stefanski, he was the offensive coordinator for Minnesota. Jim Caldwell, have no idea why teams are still interviewing Jim Caldwell, but he's on this list. Mike Munchak there, the Steelers. Mike McCarthy was a sleeper name. It's maybe looking like he's not too interested in the job anymore. Dan Campbell, he would fill out a Miz and a Main shirt just terrifically. There's no doubt about that. And then you got Greg Williams, who was the interim head coach. I think he deserves a little bit more credit. He was number 6 on our last, I believe, big board for the Browns head coaching positions, or teams that could hire, or coaches that the Browns could hire. Words, they're tough. Freddie Kitchens is another name. Nick Sirianni, Matt Eberflus, and then Brian Flores are also coaches that interviewed for the Browns head coaching position. Next guy coming up here is around a rumor is around Kliff Kingsbury, and he interviewed for several head coaching jobs, including the Jets and the Cardinals. So Kingsbury hasn't even left an ink dry on his contract with USC, but it was reported that he's met with the Jets on Monday, and he's going to interview for that head coaching vacancy. It's rumored also to be a candidate for the Patriots offensive coordinator job if McDaniels were to leave for the head coaching position. And if that wasn't enough Kliff action, it's being reported that the Arizona Cardinals are set to interview the USC offensive coordinator today, Tuesday. The common thread in Kingsbury head coaching interest developed is that he can develop young quarterbacks. And if he can develop Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen, hey, that's ultimately could get his foot in the door. Realistically, though, Kliff shouldn't really be a candidate for any of these positions. It's falling upward, in my opinion. But being regarded as an innovative offensive mind is as part of his scouting and development, his potential. And I think he does have at least a little bit of a hand in the door, I guess you could say, with potential MVP and Patrick Mahomes, since Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback at Texas Tech with Kliff Kingsbury. And Kliff invented the air raid offense, and I think anytime the NFL teams are starting to look at a young coach who could potentially bring in something new in the NFL. I mean, we're seeing it all the time. NFL teams are starting to kind of copy what some of these college coaches are doing. So if Kliff can come in, maybe do an air raid offense around Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen, I think it would at least be a little bit interesting. But I got a question for y'all. Would Kliff Kingsbury make a good NFL head coach? Type Y for yes or type N for no. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, I don't care where the heck you're watching. Type Y for yes or type N for no. Next name here is one of the big name coaches in this offseason. It's Mike McCarthy, and the Browns starting to lose interest in McCarthy. So McCarthy was set to interview with the Browns last Thursday, but the meeting was then moved to later this week, and now it appears it might not even happen at all. So Rob Dimvonsky of ESPN.com reports that McCarthy or his representatives have spoken to the Browns, but that plan to move forward with the formal interview, it's on hold while the Browns speak to other candidates. So McCarthy has interviewed with the Jets, and it is believed to be a serious contender for that job. McCarthy would offer the Browns a Super Bowl caliber coach who had serious hand in developing future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers, but maybe the Browns are looking for an innovative offensive mind to push young talent on the team, i.e. Baker Mayfield. We talked about potentially Josh McDaniels going to the Browns, and he seems that he's enamored by it. I don't blame him. If I had to choose between Mike McCarthy or Josh McDaniels, call me crazy, I'm probably going to go with Josh McDaniels. Like, I just think Mike McCarthy, sure, he's had a solid 13 years and he's won an NFL, or he's won a Super Bowl. But again, I'm going to point the finger at Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to look at what he's done the last 2 years, and I think the NFL kind of figured out Mike McCarthy's offense a little bit. His offense was, shit, Aaron, do something. And I just don't think that's ultimately going to work down the road. So I think Mike McCarthy lost his spunk a little bit, and I would be totally surprised if the Browns lost interest, but also sounds like a Jets typical hire that they would hire a coach that maybe the Browns wouldn't want to hire. So here are the Browns head coaching interviews that they've had this offseason. Kevin Stefanski, he was the offensive coordinator for Minnesota. Jim Caldwell, have no idea why teams are still interviewing Jim Caldwell, but he's on this list. Mike Munchak there, the Steelers. Mike McCarthy was a sleeper name. It's maybe looking like he's not too interested in the job anymore. Dan Campbell, he would fill out a Miz and a Main shirt just terrifically. There's no doubt about that. And then you got Greg Williams, who was the interim head coach. I think he deserves a little bit more credit. He was number 6 on our last, I believe, big board for the Browns head coaching positions, or teams that could hire, or coaches that the Browns could hire. Words, they're tough. Freddie Kitchens is another name. Nick Sirianni, Matt Eberflus, and then Brian Flores are also coaches that interviewed for the Browns head coaching position. So I got a question for y'all. Would Mike McCarthy take the Browns to the Super Bowl? See, I originally read this, and I think that this is a kind of a shitty joke, but would McCarthy take the Browns to the Super Bowl? I want to know from you if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, comment below. If you want to throw in a nice little poop emoji, why not? I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, BetDSI, for hooking us up with the best promo code on the internet. Use that promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. You're going to go to chatsports.com/bet. Once you sign up and deposit that $50, you can get $60 for free. Put down $100, get $120 for free. Be a big baller like Mike McCarthy. Put down $500, get $600 for free. BetDSI, they're hooking you up with the best promo code on the internet, so take advantage of it. Next rumor coming in here, and my last one of the day, is around Odell Beckham Jr. And is he going to get traded to the 49ers? So this is one that's been brewing basically the entire year. And Dave Gettleman came out, GM of the Giants, came out and said, we didn't sign him to trade him, if that's what you're asking me. Gettleman's initial vague, I guess, comment, that he would regard in trading Beckham, I ultimately don't totally disagree. But the Giants, they want to rebuild, and their ears are open for trades. And I think ultimately NFL teams are dumb to not listen to basically every single trade in general. Now, the Niners have a ton of picks, and they have a ton of cap space. But at the end of the day, I don't know if the Giants should trade their franchise player and the face of the team. Yes, Saquon Barkley is a great player, but running backs technically don't last as long in the NFL as OBJ. And sure, OBJ's dealt with some injuries, but the Giants were 1-3 without him. And when he's not on the field, I think it definitely takes a big hit. But I love OBJ. I think he's an unbelievably talented player. I mean, he's had over 1,000 yards every single year he's been in the NFL. The dude breaks a ton of records, and he's got noodle arm Eli Manning tossing him to the rock. Imagine if they actually get a real quarterback who can throw the ball to him. So OBJ to the 49ers, it's a rumor. This definitely could happen if the 49ers are hey, we really want him. They're going to go out and do some crazy stuff for him. Maybe they do it. I would say I would love to see Shanahan teamed up with OBJ. That'd be some sick stuff. So OBJ battled some injuries down the end of the season, but he still had an incredible year. 77 catches, 1,052 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now, again, he had over 1,000 yards, and if he plays all 16 games, he puts up some incredible numbers. And even though he didn't have the greatest year I think that he was hoping for, he's still one of those top wide receivers in the NFL. I would argue he's a top 3, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. In fact, if you're watching this right now, DM me on Twitter, @MitchellRens365, and give me 5 better wide receivers than Odell Beckham Jr., because I want to know from you. So I got a question for you, a nice little reaction poll before I get out of here. Should the Giants trade Odell Beckham Jr.? If you're watching on Facebook, give me a heart for yes or a like for no. If you're watching on YouTube, just comment yes or no. Heck, actually, if you want to be an overachiever, I won't mind it. Give me a heart for yes or a like for no. Should the Giants trade Odell Beckham Jr.? I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Miz and Main, for repping us here at Chat Sports. They're making all the guys here look, I think, at least passable. Go to www.comfortable.af to see for yourself how amazing these shirts are. They're made in America, and I promise you they are the best damn dress shirt out there. We'll be back later in the week with some more NFL rumors. So until then, I'll see you.